Hello, welcome to the RCD ShareNet. I'm Dave Thompson, as always, and I am the Community Outreach Coordinator and ShareNet team member here. And this is every last Wednesday of our months. We focus on something that helps you stay active mentally or physically. And so this is Active Wednesday. Welcome. Today we are focusing on meditation, relaxation, and how to basically the equal of that is to lower your stress. If anyone knows my background, I have a very stressful background in the military and in prisons and whatnot else. And when I tell people that I've meditated and facilitated classes for 15 years, they think I'm joking them because I really do not look like the meditating type. And I never really thought I was the meditating type, the sort of new age sort of type. But necessity is the mother of invention, and when you need to find things to solve issues in your life, you try things and see if it works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. I found something that clicked, but I needed to adapt it for me, and I had to learn at my pace. So sometimes a facilitated class will work, sometimes it won't, because if you need adaptability, you need to sort of learn it at your pace. And this is what I feel what's really important. Meditation is an extremely personal activity because you're basically alone with your brain. So it's really, really a personal activity. And so if you want to be consistent with it, you've really got to try different varieties to sort of get that right fit. And it's not something that you can go, oh, well, I'll learn to like it sort of thing. You probably won't. You'll probably learn to just avoid it and then you won't do it. So try different varieties and see what works for you, maybe even a combination. So we're specifically focusing on outdoor meditation because it's summer months. And because you see all these pictures of people meditating and they're in these beautiful spots and there's a waterfall behind them and there's, birds are singing and why do we think that it's better outside than it is inside? So meditating in nature provides us with certain things that you can't get when you're inside. There's the first off is the physical connection to the elements, the main elements, earth, sun, water, air. There are some people that believe in what's called grounding, and grounding is an activity that you do every day where you take your shoes and socks off and you stand on the earth and you make that connection to the earth every day at the same time. Usually it's a morning thing. Winter, summer, spring, fall, no matter what, you stand there and make that connection to the earth. So that's the one thing meditating. The first thing is that physical connection to the outdoors. It's most of the time it's better air. So depending, fire season, if you're meditating in Kamloops right now, probably not a good idea. But most of the time you can control, and it's a better breathing or area to breathe and do deep breathing. The scenery that you pick, no matter what it is, promotes imagery. Right, you're looking at something, then you close your eyes, and then you can sort of build off that. You're close to a ship, but then you close your eyes, and the ship's something else, and you can build off of that, and it helps with your imagination. It activates positive memories. It activates cortisol levels. It activates hormones and emotions, just like exercise does.
It's so nice to be here with all of you. Have a good life. Always remember we are in summertime. Enjoy the summertime.
And because you're basically exercising your brain in the sense. A lot of times it promotes mindfulness, and a lot of times people will do it as a break in their day, especially if they're like a 9 to 5er. So it gives people that space, that little stress release valve. I found an empty room where I worked in the jail, and I would close it off, and it was all brick, so it was pitch black. You could not even see your hand in front of your face. And I would go in there for my 15 minutes of my lunch hour, and that was really important as a stress reducer. And I would tell people, I meditated inside the prison. How? So people, especially in the spring and summer, they're coming out and they're trying these things. So do some research. Watch some program. There's a lot of programming you can find on YouTube. If you have a smart television, there's lots of different things like that. Play around with it. See what you like, what you don't like. There are some specific things you have to watch out for doing this practice outside. So we're going to talk about that next. And just before that, I was meditating today after my relaxation, and I found one thing that's really important is you look for one element that you really connect to. So if you're an airplane guy, then meditate near the airport. If the sound of airplanes, great. And in Richmond, that's great. I'm a water guy, so if I'm going to do anything, there's going to be sounds of water somewhere. So sort of figure out what type of person you are in that sense. What sort of like I can catch myself just leaving the tap on because I like the sound of the running water. I know the environmentalists will get mad at me, but I have to catch myself and go, oh, sorry, yeah. So if you like certain sounds, then that's what. And even if the other sounds are drowned out, sometimes your sound is drowned out. Like I found where I was meditating today, there was some very big truck sounds and whatnot else. But I was able to keep the water sound in the back of my head. As long as you can keep it from not being totally kicked out of your brain when you're thinking, then you're getting better at the meditating. You can hear a big truck or a bus or a honk or whatever, and you process it, but you're still keeping that sound in there. It's when you totally throw that sound out where you're still having problem with that concentration level. So I have a couple tips for meditating outside. So especially if you haven't meditated before, if you're going to just start the practice outside, definitely you've got to think of a couple things. For many years that I've taught meditation, people come to the first class and they fall asleep. And they're very embarrassed and they apologize. And they're like, I'm really sorry. I said, no. Sleep is like 80% there. If you fall asleep in the class, you have made great steps because you're comfortable. Your body was relaxed enough. So now you just have to practice stepping back just a little bit from there, that relaxation where you get to that zone. So sleep outside is not always safe. You can't just, in public places, be falling asleep. You may get arrested, you may get robbed, So you have to research the place that you think you're going to go. And especially if you're doing this in between work and whatnot else, and you're tired and whatnot else, you don't want to, you have an hour lunch and then you wake up and it's been 3 hours, it's 3:00 and you're running back trying to tell your boss where you were. So try these things out first to make sure that you can only do it for this amount of time. Put an alarm on your phone. Do a meditation off your phone that's only a set amount of time, and then it stops. And if you're worried about that, try a class. Try a facilitated class. And what the facilitated class will give you, like I taught one today, is I was not really doing the meditation. I was watching everyone. I was making sure there wasn't strangers coming in and going through people's purses and if the wind changed or anything like that. So that's what a facilitated class will give you. The facilitator will have picked a place that he likes that has certain elements already, so he knows it's safe and whatnot else, so he has some control over it. And then you are safe while you're there, so you're in a protected space, so you don't have to worry about that. So that's a good starting off point to try that maybe at first. And that way, because then everything is sort of controlled by the facilitator. He's picked that. When you meditate outside, any sort of meditation, you're shutting down a lot of the brain and the thinking. You're focusing on some major things. Like when I teach, I tell people we're focusing on your body, your brain, and your breath. So when you do that, it's like anything. Like when you meet someone who's deaf, their sense of smell, right? Or blind, their sense of smell is incredible. My father-in-law's blind and he smells everything. It's just like, right? So it's heightened. So when you're meditating, you're going to get the same thing. So if you meditate near, a certain ethnic restaurant and you don't like the smell of that food, maybe not the right place to meditate. So, because that will affect you a lot more. On a daily basis, you walk by that restaurant, it doesn't bother you. But when you're sitting there trying to concentrate and this smell starts wafting through your brain, it's going to block that concentration. So think about those things when you pick a place. If there is certain noise, construction noise, anything like that, check the times, because if you're meditating on your lunch hour, you can sort of time it when all the construction guys go to their lunch, so you don't have the jackhammers and the beeps and all that sort of stuff. Because a lot of times, a lot of the places that you want to go, there's construction there. So you can kind of, 10 o'clock is usually when the construction guys take their first coffee break, so you may time it with that. It's always a good way to think of it. Be patient. You will be interrupted. There is going to be interruptions. A lot of times, you'll hear something. There'll be other people walking by. It's just a matter of don't get interrupted and get angry and let it transfer into a physical thing where you tighten up and tense. Just sort of go, okay, it's here. It's not going to be here very long. We're going to push it out. We're going to go back to what I was thinking of, and oh, there it goes. It's gone. Right? And you just kind of go back. There are people like myself. I specifically have a pain disorder where I'm constantly in a sort of a hyper state. Like I'm not as bad as I used to be, but I used to be like. And someone said, "How can you meditate?" And I said, "Well, I purposely learned how to do it in a swimming pool full of children learning how to swim." And it was so noisy and loud that it kind of canceled each other out. It took me a little longer to sort of get good at it, but I knew that because you see these videos, like I said, you see these videos, oh, find this perfect place. I'm never going to have a perfect place like that in my head. And a lot of people, if they're really type A personalities and they're high strung, they're going to have to sort of adapt, and that's where you adapt. So you put yourself in a place where it's going to take a little longer to do it. But hey, if you can conquer that, then you can pretty much conquer, meditate anywhere. Again, try if you are worried about sleeping and whatnot else, or if you want something a little bit controlled, there are some really good apps for your phone. And you can, a really basic, simple one is Calm, C-A-L-M. And Calm if you can start off with Calm, you just click it on and you just see a picture of a lake. And maybe a little bit of music in the background, and that's it. A couple of the other ones are a little bit more advanced, and you can sort of, you can have like a crackling fireplace or whatever. And if you're using headphones or whatnot else, then again, another sort of sound deafening. But outdoors, you got to make sure that you're safe or relatively safe. You feel comfortable in that place, and everything will sort of fall into place after that. And look for facilitated classes. We are running one right now through the summer at Brig House Park. Wednesdays at 11. I know the city and the senior center do a lot. Most of the martial arts studios and a lot of the churches and other places offer meditation. And again, it's a really good starting point to get a facilitated class, because sometimes you may pick elements from there, things you like, things you don't like. And just for starters, I would suggest, just to reiterate, find out the type of, kind of look at the type of person you are. What do you like? Where do you like to be? Where do you find yourself lingering when you're in a park or something? Is it by the lake? Is it by the trees? Is it by there? And use that for your base of figuring out a place to go. Then look at that safety, and then set up timers or something to wake you up if you are doing this on your lunch break or whatnot else. And and a safer bet too is that don't take your iPad or your computer with you when you're meditating and you're closing your eyes and whatnot else. So you leave if you're just going out, leave your wallet and everything in your office or whatever else, and then you have one less thing to kind of worry about. And again, you can always contact us here and check out our relaxation and our mindfulness, and we will see you again for the next Active Wednesday. Dave Thompson, thank you very much. We'll talk to you later.